Early this morning, my friend David called me. The boars have ruined our crops. They come every night. Even though we keep watch, they silently slip in from one corner of the field. When they hear our footsteps, they freeze and wait without moving. They must be very experienced. We have no choice but to wait until harvest time to drive them away. We're desperate. Please come and fight alongside us, he said. Without hesitation, Marcus and his team set out. They prepared their equipment and left at the break of dawn. When they arrived at the scene, Marcus gave a short speech to his team. There will be a hunt here, but remember, our priority is not the hunt, but our own safety. Everyone must know their position, and no one is to panic. When speaking over the radios, keep your voices low. With that, he finished his words. Meanwhile, David informed Marcus's team. There are some vicious boars here, and they're in great numbers. I've never seen such a large herd before. Among them are 3 that are enormous, truly massive wild boars. This time, 3 young dogs had also joined the team. It would be their first hunt, and their mothers and fathers would accompany them. Everyone moved to their designated positions, and the preparations were complete. The dogs were released, and about 20 minutes later, they picked up the boar's trail. These specially trained dogs were bred to turn the boar's direction and drive them toward the hunters. Pushing deeper into the vineyard, they followed the swine's likely route towards a dense thicket of oak and manzanita. Suddenly, a blur of movement erupted from the undergrowth. Another hog, even larger than the first, charging with terrifying speed into the rows of vines. Marcus reacted instantly. The rifle barked, and the beast crashed to the ground, its destructive rampage cut short. A second threat neutralized with ruthless efficiency. This was one of the natural passages most frequently used by wild boars. Marcus noticed massive bite marks on the trees and said they must belong to a very large boar. Just then, rustling sounds came from within the bushes. Suddenly, 2 wild boars appeared before them, locking eyes with the hunters. One of the boars hesitated and then tried to escape, but Marcus had taken careful aim. He managed to neutralize them both right there. But today, Marcus was positioned perfectly. His rifle cracked instantly, and within heartbeats, the charging beast had fallen. Another destructive force neutralized by the steady marksmanship of a conservation professional. Before he could approach to confirm the harvest, familiar grunting sounds emanated from deeper within the thicket, perhaps 300 yards distant. Without pause, he sprinted toward the disturbance, each stride purposeful, while his trained eyes swept the terrain with unwavering concentration. As he dropped to one knee and shouldered his weapon, a mature boar stepped directly into his crosshairs. The cold snap of the discharge echoed across the valley. The projectile struck true, and another invasive animal collapsed among the oak saplings to his left. While Marcus engaged targets in the eastern sector, David quickly identified his quarry. His gaze tracked across a clearing just in time to witness a panic-stricken hog bursting from concealment, as if pursued by some invisible predator. Denying it any opportunity for escape, David's finger found the trigger immediately. The animal tumbled heavily into the tall grass beneath the ancient oaks. With that elimination, a fresh assault wave approached their position. The mission continued as the team relocated to Marcus's family vineyard. Upon reaching the perimeter, absolute silence reigned as they ghosted into predetermined concealment positions. The marksmen readied their firearms, alert and prepared. 30 minutes beneath the climbing sun tested their resolve to its limits. Then the critical moment arrived for Marcus. With the precision of a single cartridge, he severed every possible escape route for the trespassing beast. How do you rate this marksmanship? Share your assessment in the discussion section. Abruptly, a large sow darted across their line of advance, but it couldn't evade Marcus's experienced observation. A calculated shot rang out, connecting with the animal's center mass. A flawless execution, stopping razor-sharp tusks that threatened to devastate the fertile orchards. Agricultural lands face merciless destruction from invasive feral swine, eliminating thousands of dollars in crops during a single nocturnal raid. Unable to remain passive observers, the management team deployed, tracking these animals to their established territories. Do they possess the expertise to eliminate this ecological threat? The following sequences contain heart-stopping encounters and strategic ambushes that will maintain your complete attention. Continue watching to identify the moment that captures your interest most effectively. On a ridge covered with impenetrable chaparral, a hunting unit rapidly established their tactical formation, completely surrounding the target area. A designated rifleman at a natural bottleneck suddenly detected the outline of a mature boar emerging from the timber cover. Without any delay, a controlled series of shots echoed across the hillside. The accurate, definitive shot not only harvested the animal, but also initiated the challenging engagement ahead. On the western face of the mountain, Marcus was observing the opposite slope through his rifle scope. In fewer than 10 minutes, a boar materialized, navigating through dense vegetation to locate its path back to sanctuary. Marcus selected an advantageous angle and squeezed the trigger. The beast dropped into the brush, unable to continue its flight. Perfectly placed shot, rapidly eliminating the lurking danger in this zone. An unanticipated close-range encounter was developing in another section of the mountainside. A hunter was following the subtle signs left by the quarry. Suddenly, a wild hog concealed within thick scrub entered his sight picture. Without hesitation, multiple rounds discharged rapidly, providing it no opportunity to respond. The animal fell precisely where it had believed itself most secure. Seconds later, gunfire resonated from multiple directions, confirming the elimination of additional threats, returning tranquility to this region. In the thick forests of Oregon, Jonathan's team deployed to stop the rampage of these destructive creatures. Upon accessing the area, the hunters immediately dispersed, following the subtle evidence left behind. Shortly afterward, a sounder of feral hogs, casually feeding, remained completely unaware they had entered the crosshairs of experienced marksmen. Waiting for the optimal moment, he applied pressure to the trigger. 2 animals were dropped instantly, while a third barely escaped. Determined not to allow its getaway, he rapidly identified its escape vector and communicated with his teammates. The instant he received confirmation through the radio, Jonathan rushed to the designated coordinates. There it appeared, the wild hog moving directly into his sight alignment. Without a moment's hesitation, the bullet traveled true, and the beast crashed to the earth immediately. This time it had no chance of flight. Another success was recorded on the team's scorecard. In another corner of the property, the baying of tracking hounds echoed, announcing an approaching target. The shooter immediately assumed a firing stance, waiting for the quarry to appear. In under 60 seconds, the beast emerged, moving rapidly in an attempt to reach the cover on the opposite side. A single decisive shot, and the animal collapsed just short of its escape route. Another menace was efficiently eliminated, restoring balance to this ecosystem. Now it was time to drive the big tuskers out of the crops. We gathered our dogs and released them into the fields. The hogs were still inside, and getting them out would not be easy. We were about to face some massive wild boars. Enjoy the hunt. The dogs quickly went to work and soon flushed out a huge boar from the crops. Enraged, the beast suddenly charged straight at me. I was already on the trigger, waiting. I aimed quickly, fired, and hit my mark. Suddenly, a large wild boar burst out from the reeds and charged directly at me. I took aim, waited for it to come closer, and pulled the trigger. Despite being wounded, it was so powerful that it dove back into the reeds. However, it couldn't get far. The dogs didn't allow it to escape. Realizing it had no chance of fleeing, it attacked me a second time, but that was its final charge, and it was neutralized. It had consumed so many crops that it no longer had the strength to run. A single close-range shot was enough to bring its massive frame to the ground. The hunter shouts with all his strength, trying to draw the wild boar toward himself. He fears accidentally injuring his dogs, so he devised this method to make the animal charge directly at him. In the dry terrain, the hunting dogs had the wild boar cornered. With no way to escape, it threw itself into the reeds, under immense stress, while the dogs barked relentlessly around it. In a final attempt, it broke free and rushed into the thickets, gasping for breath. I waited patiently for the perfect angle. Then, suddenly, it burst out like an arrow. With a swift aim and a single shot, it tumbled to the ground. The hunter took aim, waiting for the boar to charge. But when it held its ground, he decided not to fire. That choice would soon bring regret. Suddenly, the animal rushed forward and crashed headlong into the nearby pickup. Marcus's team was caught off guard, unable to comprehend what had driven the boar to such a reckless act.